Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Profound. Today, I am back with Roommate, as you might have known from previous episodes, and we've already discussed two very, very important topics. We've discussed fear, and we've discussed hate, and I think there's only one place we go from here, and this is the discussion of what we think of love. And I'm going to lead it off to Roommate to give what his simple definition of what love is.
I think love is the unconditional care and or affection for someone else. And I think the best way to put it is just an undying feeling of positivity for someone that's not really based on what they do after you begin loving them.
I think that's a great way to put it. And if you talk to a lot of people, I think they would put love as a feeling that you have towards another person. While what I've sort of learned over time is love is something that transcends feeling, something that transcends emotion. Because love doesn't have to do with emotion, because even if you're feeling angry towards someone, you still love them and you're still going to give them that unconditional support and respect that you would give them, even though you don't feel something towards them at a time. And I think something big about love is how it transcends just normal emotions to the point where you have to sort of redefine it and put it in another category that might be something more than just something you feel towards someone, which is like the normal answer you would get. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely think it transcends emotions, it transcends rationality a lot of the time, which is an interesting thing for humans, because we usually, in a lot of stuff, we worry about if it makes sense or if it's rational, while with love it usually almost always doesn't make sense. It's not rooted in reasoning and logic. It's just rooted in like an intangible feeling that you can't, so like it's tough to describe, I'll say.
Do you feel like love is the basis of everything, like the controlling factor of the universe? Like everything is like love or the opposition of love?
I think at least with humans, I think yes, it plays a part in probably almost every single aspect of life.
And why do you think just in humans and not just all animals, or do you think there's a combination there?
I definitely think that I guess other animals may have a different I guess they can't really quantify it, but they have a slightly different definition of it, or like it occurs differently with them. But I feel
kind of like just like it's like mating and like having children versus like actually having the means to self-actualize.
Yeah.
But there are animals that definitely only pick one other like wife, which you can't even say for most humans, because a lot of men like the idea of polygamy. So but I think I want to dive into the fact of how love is defined as God is defined as love in the Bible, or just like if you talk to mostly any scholar, a biblical scholar, they'll say that God is love. And I want to hear your input on what you think that means.
I think it really goes back into the initial definition of it, transcending rationality. I think God is probably one of the best representations of this. Like we see his constant, he gives, humanity a very imperfect, very violent people. He gives us, he always forgives as long as you want to be forgived. He always still shows love no matter how far people may stray from the path that he would have hoped for us. And I think that really reflects, because if you could argue that we really shouldn't have been forgiven so many times. Throughout history, we constantly lie, we violate, all the blessings that we're given, and over he still says, "Yep, I love you. I know you. I know you're capable of greatness. I want the best for all of you." And I think that's probably the purest form of love, because it's fully unconditional. No matter what we do, how bad, all the bad things we do, we still are, we're still loved.
I think that's great input. And I kind of want to give like a reflection from someone who has been in a relationship, from the idea of going into what you think love is to the difficulty of love and what makes love so difficult, it being so hard to stray away from the fear-based amygdala emotions and just the uncomfort of yourself for others. It's being able to sacrifice your own comfort, your own satisfaction for someone else's, or just for the general good. And I think that's why Jesus was the embodiment of love. He showed it through all of his actions. He, instead of going to the Pharisees to try to convince them, he goes and he picks up tax collectors and fishermen, the people at the bottom of the pool, the sinners, the people that need to be helped. And love goes beyond just that comfort, and it's so hard for people. And I think that's why it's so hard for people to express love and become vulnerable about just the idea of love in general. What do you think?
Yeah, I fully agree. It really, Jesus really just highlights anyone can be loved, anyone deserves love, and he loves everyone regardless. And I think that's why I think humans definitely are capable of, what they call it, agape love, just pure love regardless of anything. And I think you see that the most strongest connections are connections that have been tested. They've been tested by people's actions, by changes in a situation, environment, and the love still remains. Like you see, like a mother and her son. Like her son might just be the worst kid ever, and she's still gonna wake up and still love him the next day. She's still gonna hope for the best for him, and she still, will pray for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard because people aren't able to love others. They're so angry at other people, but the anger at other people roots from inner resentment to themselves. So the people that are angry and hateful, they need to love themselves, because how can you love anyone else if you can't even love yourself? And I think that's an issue a lot of people have in relationships, is they externalize all their love into one person, and it kind of it creates this ginormous bubble, and the bubble just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it just pops. And then you go back and you look at yourself and you're like, wait, I don't even know if I love myself. How can I love someone this much? If everyone is an extension of you, loving yourself to the fullest extent is the most important thing you can possibly do, because that'll help you externalize your love towards everyone and sacrifice your own comfort for just the love of everything, the love of life, love of being.
Yeah, and love it doesn't always pay off. I think that's another factor. Some people, I feel like you feel like love, you're supposed to, at least there's supposed to be some prize, you're supposed to receive something in return, but I mean, that's not always how it goes, and I think that tests a lot of people's definition of love. It tests the extent that they are willing to show love, because, I mean, humans throughout, we just naturally, we expect something in return usually, and...
Altruism.
Yeah. That's good.
The goal.
Yeah, that's the goal.
I mean, yeah, I think it's so important for people to just realize that it's more than just a physical feeling. And then it goes into one of my favorite Kendrick Lamar songs. It's called Crown, and he goes, "Love can change with the seasons, and I can't please everybody. I can't even please myself." And it's just coming to terms with the fact that you can't please everybody, you can't even please yourself, and that love comes and goes with the seasons. In the summertime, you're madly in love with someone, and then in winter, it fades because some sort of life event happens, and that's the true test. The biggest test is when you don't feel it. That's love. Love is when you don't feel that connection, you don't feel that everything, and you still are able to portray that unconditional aspect of respect and just love.
Yeah. I think we see that a lot in like the honeymoon stage of a relationship when it comes to the end, where that like, you know, that butterflies feeling, it starts to fade because it's not, you know, it's not fresh anymore. It's not like something that's so unique and
like overwhelming,
yeah,
this surge of just like euphoric emotion.
Literally, and that's when you start to, I mean, if a relationship is to survive, it really has to be those days that you wake up and, you know, you're not happy with your partner, or you don't feel such a red, I guess, affection towards them, but you still look at them and you're like, I know I love you, I want to be with you. And I think that's when real long-lasting love starts being built, but that's when it's less of a chemical thing and it's more of a maturity thing. It's like a daily decision that I love this person, I know I love this person, and I'm going to keep loving them, even if I don't feel that same initial attraction anymore.
There's like that famous Rick and Morty scene where he's like, Morty, love is like a chemical addiction to the brain, and in 4 years, like you'll never, like you won't feel it and you'll want a divorce, so stick to science. And I think that quote sticks with a lot of like this generation because they have seen how love fades and how it dissolves. I mean, if you grew up in America, there's about a 50% chance your parents are divorced. So seeing that version of love die, and I mean, you can see in like biblical texts how the labeled importance of staying with a woman unless they are unfaithful in marriage, and being able to agree to something on the magnitude of marriage and to not stay with it just because of all the issues in the modern society. I think it shows a level of immaturity, and it shows a level of ideological confusion within our generation and the generations a few above us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it shows also the effect of, I guess, comfort on a society. It shows how as we develop further and further, we get all these material things that we start to. I think our values have changed so much and strayed so much from what they used to be that it's almost like love isn't the same, or it's not presented the same way to a lot of people anymore.
I think like a lot of it has to do maybe with just like the fast stimulation that everyone's constantly plugging dopamine in their system no matter what, on their phones, drugs, substances, whatever. Lust, yeah, anything. And this constant greed is just exemplified through society. Right now it's at its like biggest point. So if people are being habituated by just like their day-to-day things, eventually it's going to grow mundane and old, and they're going to want something new, because that's what you want after you get your new toy and you spend a couple years with the toy and it's really fun, but then you're like, oh, I want something new. But sometimes that isn't the case, and especially in this day and age, it's so hard for people to just put that off switch on. I think it's just going to get worse, honestly.
Yeah. And it's prophesized in the Bible. It's prophesized about the greed of man, just hoping, like trying to fill what's within with just all these different things. And at least what has been said throughout history is it'll never be enough. Like trying to fill in the within with external things, you can just never do it. You always will keep trying to find something more, and the void will just grow deeper and deeper. And I think that's the same with love, which just goes back to it really coming from within. Like, because if you love yourself, if you love yourself, you're not going to be trying to seek all this
satisfaction from material, from lust, from greed, from gluttony, from all the desire. We have 30 seconds. Is there any final words you want to say?
Love is unconditional. Start loving yourself more. I myself included, I will try to do that in the future.
And I'll leave it off with a quote from the Bible, Matthew 7:3. You must remove the log from your own eye before you try to get the speck out of your brother's. And you must love yourself before you can love others. Thank you.